The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by David Allen. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade! Charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade! Was their men dismayed? Not those the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them volleyed and thundered, stormed out with shot and shell. Boldly they rode, and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the sabre stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon behind them volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made! All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the Light Brigade, noble 600. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Circe by Augusta Webster. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. The sun drops luridly into the west. Darkness has raised her arms to draw him down before the time, not waiting as of wont till he has come to her behind the sea, and the smooth waves grow sullen in the gloom and wear their threatening purple. More and more the plain of waters sways and seems to rise convexly from its level of the shores, and low dull thunder rolls along the beach. There will be storm at last, storm, glorious storm. Oh, welcome, welcome, though it rend my bowers, scattering my blossomed roses like the dust, splitting the shrieking branches, tossing down my riotous vines with their young, half-tinged grapes, like small round amethysts, or beryls, strung tumultuously in clusters, though it sate its ravenous spite among my goodliest pines standing there round and still against the sky that makes blue lakes between their sombre tufts, or harry from my silvery olive slopes some hoary king whose gnarled, fantastic limbs wear crooked armour of 1,000 years, though it will hurl high on my flowery shores the hostile wave that rives at the poor sward and drags it down the slants, that swirls its foam over my terraces, shakes their firm blocks of great bright marbles into tumbled heaps, and makes my pleached and mossy labyrinths, where the small odorous blossoms grow like stars strewn in the Milky Way, a briny marsh. What matter? Let it come and bring me change, breaking the sickly, sweet monotony. I am too weary of this long, bright calm, always the same blue sky, always the sea, the same blue, perfect lightness of the sky, one rose to match the other that has waned, tomorrow's dawn the twin of yesterday's, and every night the ceaseless crickets chirp, the same long joy, and the late strain of birds repeats their strain of all the even month, and changelessly the petty plashing surfs bubble their chiming burden round the stones. Dusk after dusk brings the same languid trance upon the shadowy hills, and in the fields the waves of fireflies come and go the same, making the very flash of light and stir vex one like dronings at the spinning wheel. Give me some change. Must life be only sweet, all honey pap, as babes would have their food? And, if my heart must always be a drowse in a hush of stagnant sunshine, give me then something outside me stirring. Let the storm break up this sluggish beauty, let it fall beaten below the feet of passionate winds, and then tomorrow waken jubilant in a new birth. Let me see subtle joy of anguish and of hopes, of change and growth. What fate is mine, who, far apart from pains and fears and turmoils of the cross-grained world, dwell, like a lonely god, in a charmed isle where I am first and only, and, like one who should love poisonous savours more than mead, long for a tempest on me and grow sick of resting and divine free carelessness. O me, I am a woman, not a god. Yea, those who tend me even are more than I, my nymphs who have the souls of flowers and birds singing and blossoming immortally. Ah me, these love a day and laugh again, and loving, laughing, find a full content, but I know naught of peace, and have not loved. Where is my love? Does someone cry for me, not knowing whom he calls? Does his soul cry for mine to grow beside it, grow in it? Does he beseech the gods to give him me, the one unknown rare woman by whose side no other woman, thrice as beautiful, should once seem fair to him, to whose voice heard in any common tones no sweetest sound of love made melody on silver lutes, or singing like Apollo's when the gods grow pale with happy listening, might be peered for making music to him, whom once found there will be no more seeking anything? O love, O love, O love, art not yet come out of the waiting shadows into life? Art not yet come after so many years that I have longed for thee? Come, I am here. Not yet, for surely I should feel a sound of his far answering, if now in the world he sought me who will seek me. O ye gods, will he not seek me? Is it all a dream? Will there be never, never such a man? Will there be only these bestial things who wallow in my styes, or mop and mow among the trees, or munch in pens and byres, or snarl and filch behind their wattled coops, these things who had believed that they were men? Nay, but he will come. Why am I so fair and marvellously minded, and with sight which flashes suddenly on hidden things, as the gods see who do not need to look? Why wear I in my eyes that stronger power than basilisks, whose gaze can only kill, to draw men's souls to me to live or die as I would have them? Why am I given pride which yet longs to be broken, and this scorn cruel and vengeful for the lesser men who meet the smiles I waste for lack of him and grow too glad? Why am I who I am, but for the sake of him whom fate will send one day to be my master utterly, that he should take me, the desire of all, whom only he in the world could bow to him? Oh, sunlight glory of pale glittering hairs, bright as the filmy wires my weavers take to make me golden gauzes. Oh, deep eyes, darker and softer than the bluest dusk of August violets, darker and deep, like crystal fathomless lakes in summer noons. O sad, sweet, longing smile, O lips that tempt my very self to kisses, O round cheeks tenderly radiant with the even flush of pale smoothed coral, perfect, lovely face answering my gaze from out this fleckless pool, wonder of glossy shoulders, chiselled limbs. Should I be so your lover as I am, drinking an exquisite joy to watch you thus in all 100 changes through the day, but that I love you for him till he comes, but that my beauty means his loving it? Oh, look! A speck on this side of the sun, coming, yes, coming with the rising wind that frays the darkening cloud-rack on the verge, and in a little while will leap abroad, spattering the sky with rushing blacknesses, dashing the hissing mountainous waves at the stars. It will drive me that black speck, a shuddering hulk, caught in the buffeting waves, dashed impotent from ridge to ridge, will drive it in the night with that dull jarring crash upon the beach, and the cries for help and the cries of fear and hope. And then tomorrow they will thoughtfully, with grave low voices, count their perils up, and thank the gods for having let them live, and tell of wives or mothers in their homes, and children who would have such loss in them that they must weep, and maybe I weep too, with fancy of the weepings had they died. And the next morrow they will feel their ease and sigh with sleek content, or laugh elate, tasting delights of rest and revelling, music and perfumes, joyaunce for the eyes of rosy faces and luxurious pomps, the savour of the banquet and the glow and fragrance of the wine-cup. And they'll talk how good it is to house in palaces out of the storms and struggles, and what luck strewed their good ship on our accessless coast. Then, the next day, the beast in them will wake, and one will strike and bicker, and one swell with puffed-up greatness, and one jibe and strut in apish pranks, and one will line his sleeve with pilfered booties, and one snatch the gems out of the carven goblets as they pass. One will grow mad with fever of the wine, and one will sluggishly besot himself, and one be lewd, and one be gluttonous, and I shall sickly look and loathe them all. Oh, my rare cup, my pure and crystal cup, with not one speck of colour to make false the passing lights, or flaw to make them swerve, my cup of truth! How the lost fools will laugh and thank me for my boon, as if I gave some momentary flash of the gods' joy, to drink where I have drunk and touch the touch of my lips with their own. Ay, let them touch. Too cruel am I? And the silly beasts, crowding around me when I pass their way, glower on me, and, although they love me still, with their poor sorts of love, such as they could, call wrath and vengeance to their humid eyes to scare me into mercy, or creep near with piteous fawnings, supplicating bleats. Too cruel? Did I choose them what they are? Or change them from themselves by poisonous charms? But any draught, pure water, natural wine, out of my cup, revealed them to themselves and to each other. Change? There was no change, only disguise gone from them unawares, and had there been one right true man of them, he would have drunk the draught as I had drunk, and stood unchanged, and looked me in the eyes, abashing me before him. But these things, why, which of them has even shown the kind of some one nobler beast? Pah! Yapping wolves and pitiless stealthy wild cats, curs and apes and gorging swine, and slinking venomous snakes, all false and ravenous and sensual brutes that shame the earth that bore them. These they are. Lo, lo! The shivering blueness darting forth on half the heavens, and the forked thin fire strikes to the sea. And hark, the sudden voice that rushes through the trees before the storm and shuddering of the branches. Yet the sky is blue against them still, and early stars glimmer above the pine tops, and the air clings faint and motionless around me here. Another burst of flame, and the black speck shows in the glare, lashed onwards. It were well I bade make ready for our guests tonight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Desert Pools by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira. May 2015. I love too much. I am a river surging with spring that seeks the sea. I am too generous a giver. Love will not stoop to drink of me. His feet will turn to desert places, shadowless, reft of rain and dew, where stars stare down with sharpened faces from heavens pitilessly blue. And there at midnight, sick with faring, he will stoop down in his desire, to slake the thirst grown past all bearing, in stagnant water, keen as fire. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In the Early, Pearly Morning. Song by Valgovind. By Lawrence Hope. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. The fields are full of poppies, and the skies are very blue. By the temple and the coppice I wait, beloved, for you. The level land is sunny, and the errant air is gay, with the scent of rose and honey. Will you come to me today? From carven walls above me smile lovers, many a pair. Oh, take this rose and love me. She has twined it in her hair. He advances, she retreating, pursues and holds her fast. The sculptor left them meeting, in a close embrace at last. Through centuries together in the carven stone they lie, in the glow of golden weather and the endless azure sky. Oh, that we who have for pleasure so short and scant a stay should waste our summer leisure. Will you come to me today? The temple bells are ringing, for the marriage month is come. I hear the women singing and the throbbing of the drum. And when the song is failing or the drums a moment mute, the weirdly wistful wailing of the melancholy flute. Little life has got to offer, and little man to lose, since today fate deigns to proffer. Oh, wherefore then refuse to take this transient hour in the dusky temple gloom, while the poppies are in flower, and the mango trees abloom? And if fate remember later, and come to claim her due, what sorrow will be greater than the joy I had with you? For today, lit by your laughter, between the crushing years, I will chance, in the hereafter, eternities of tears. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epitaph by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Read for LibriVox.org. Stop, Christian passer-by, stop, child of God, and read with gentle breast. Beneath this sod a poet lies, or that which once seemed to be. Oh, lift one thought in prayer for S.T.C., that he who many a year with toil of breath found death in life may here find life in death. Mercy for praise, to be forgiven for fame he'd ask, and hoped through Christ do thou the same. 9th November, 1833. This recording is in the public domain.
The Eternal Justice by Anne Reeve Aldrich. Read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Thank God that shall judge my soul, not man. I marvel when they say, think of that awful day no pitying fellow sinner's eyes shall scan with tolerance thy soul, but his who knows the whole, the God whom all men own is wholly just. Hold thou that last word dear, and live untouched by fear. He knows with what strange fires he mixed this dust, the heritage of race, the circumstance and place which make us what we are, were from his hand, that left us faint of voice, small margin for a choice. He gave, I took. Shall I not fearless stand? Hereditary bent that hedges in intent, he knows, be sure, the God who shaped thy brain. He loves the souls he made. He knows his own hand laid on each the mark of some ancestral stain. Not souls severely white, but groping for more light, are what eternal justice here demands. Fear not, he made thee dust. Cling to that sweet word, just. All's well with thee, if thou art in just hands. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Jingle, Biloba, and Splitting Up by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Read for LibriVox.org. Jingle Biloba. Leaf of eastern tree transplanted here into my garden's field, hast me secret meaning granted, which adept's delight will yield. Art thou one living being now divided into two? Art thou two, who joined agreeing, and in one united grew? To the question, pondered duly, have I found the right reply. In my poems you see truly twofold, and yet one am I. End of poem. Splitting up. Life I never can divide. Inner and outer together you see, whole to all I must abide, otherwise I cannot be. Always I have only writ what I feel and mean to say. Thus, my friend, although I split, yet remain I one alway. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The glory of the day was in her face, by James Weldon Johnson. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. The glory of the day was in her face. The beauty of the night was in her eyes. And over all her loveliness, the grace of morning blushing in the early skies. And in her voice, the calling of the dove, like music of a sweet melodious part. And in her smile, the breaking light of love, and all the gentle virtues in her heart. And now the glorious day, the beauteous night, the birds that signal to their mates at dawn. To my dull ears, to my tear-blinded sight, are one with all the dead, since she is gone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Great Mercy by Catherine Tynan. Read for LibriVox.org by Son of the Exiles. The Great Mercy. Betwixt the saddle and the ground was mercy sought and mercy found. Yea, in the twinkling of an eye he cried, and thou hast heard his cry. Between the bullet and its mark thy face made morning in his dark, and while the shell sang on its path thou hast run, preventing death. Thou hast run before and reached the goal, gathered to thee the unhoused soul. Thou art not bound by time or space, so fast death runs, thou hast won the race. Thou hast said to beaten death, go tell of victories thou once hadst, all's well. Death, here none die but thee and sin, now the great days of life begin. And to the soul this day I rise, and thee with me to paradise. Betwixt the saddle and the ground was mercy sought and mercy found. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Introduction to Songs of Innocence by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Kangaroo692. Piping down the valleys wild, piping songs of pleasant glee, on a cloud I saw a child, and he laughing said to me, pipe a song about a lamb. So I piped with merry cheer. Piper, pipe that song again. So I piped, he wept to hear. Drop thy pipe, thy happy pipe, sing thy songs of happy cheer. So I sung the same again, while he wept with joy to hear. Piper, sit thee down and write in a book that all may read. So he vanished from thy sight, and I plucked a hollow reed, and I made a rural pen, and I stained the water clear, and I wrote my happy songs every child may joy to hear. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Was Looking a Long While by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris Pyle. I was looking a long while for intentions, for a clue to the history of the past, for myself and for these chants. And now I have found it. It is not in those paged fables in the libraries. Them I neither accept nor reject. It is no more in the legends than in all else. It is in the present. It is this earth today. It is in democracy, the purport and aim of all the past. It is the life of one man or one woman today, the average man of today. It is in languages, social customs, literatures, arts. It is in the broad show of artificial things, ships, machinery, politics, creeds, modern improvements, and the interchange of nations, all for the modern, all for the average man of today. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Joy by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira. May 2015. I am wild, I will sing to the trees. I will sing to the stars in the sky. I love, I am loved, he is mine. Now at last I can die. I am sandaled with wind and with flame. I have heart fire and singing to give. I can tread on the grass or the stars. Now at last I can live. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lamb by William Blake. Read for LibriVox.org by Kangaroo692. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead? Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright? Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice? Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee. Little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child. I a child and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Longing by Matthew Arnold. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. Come to me in my dreams, and then by day I shall be well again. For then the night will more than pay the hopeless longing of the day. Come, as thou camest 1,000 times, a messenger from radiant climes, and smile on thy new world, and be as kind to others as to me. Or as thou never camest, in sooth, come now, and let me dream it truth, and part my hair, and kiss my brow, and say, my love, why sufferest thou? Come to me in my dreams, and then by day I shall be well again, for then the night will more than pay the hopeless longing of the day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Miracles by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris Pyle. Why, who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan, or dart my eye o'er the roofs of houses toward the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach just in the edge of water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sleep in the bed at night with anyone I love, or sit at table at dinner with the rest, or look at strangers opposite me riding in the car, or watch honeybees busy around the hive of a summer forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite delicate thin curve of the new moon in spring. These with the rest, one and all, are to me miracles, the whole referring, yet each distinct and in its place. To me every hour of the light and dark is a miracle, every cubic inch of space is a miracle, every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same, every foot of the interior swarms with the same. To me the sea is a continual miracle, the fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with men in them. What stranger miracles are there? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode to Work in Springtime by Thomas R. Ibarra, read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. Oh, would that working I might shun, from labor my connection sever, that I might do a bit, or none whatever, that I might wander over hills, establish friendship with a daisy, or pretty things like daffodils go crazy, that I might at the heavens gaze, concern myself with nothing weighty, loaf at a stretch for 7 days, or 80. Why can't I cease a slave to be, and taste existence beatific on some fair island hid in the Pacific, instead of sitting at a desk mid undone labors, grimly lurking? Oh, say, what is there picturesque in working? But no, to loaf were misery. I love to work. Hang isles of coral! To end this otherwise would be immoral. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Out of the Morning by Emily Dickinson, read for LibriVox.org by Kangaroo692. Will there really be a morning? Is there such a thing as day? Could I see it from the mountains, if I were as tall as they? Has it feet like water lilies? Has it feathers like a bird? Is it brought from famous countries, of which I have never heard? Oh, some scholar, oh, some sailor, oh, some wise man from the skies, please to tell the little pilgrim where the place called morning lies. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by David Allen. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April, in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. He said to his friend, "If the British march, by land or by sea, from the town tonight, hang a lantern aloft in the belfry arch of the North Church tower as a signal light, one if by land, and two if by sea, and I, on the opposite shore will be, ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm, for the country folk to be up and to arm." Then he said, "Good night," and with muffled oar, silently rowed to the Charleston shore. Just as the moon rose over the bay, where swinging wide at her moorings lay the Somerset, a British man-of-war, a phantom ship, with each mast and spar across the moon like a prison bar, and a huge black hole that was magnified by its own reflection in the tide. Meanwhile, his friend, through alley and street, wanders and watches with eager ears, till in silence around him he hears the muster of men at the barracks door, and the sound of arms, and the tramp of feet, and the measured tread of the grenadiers marching down to their boats on the shore. Then he climbed the tower of the Old North Church, by the wooden stairs with stealthy tread, to the belfry chamber overhead, and startled the pigeons from their perch on the sombre rafters that round him made masses and moving shapes of shade, by the trembling ladder steep and tall, to the highest window in the wall, where he paused to listen and look down a moment on the roofs of the town, and the moonlight flowing over all. Beneath, in the churchyard, lay the dead, in their night encampment on the hill, wrapped in silence so deep and still that he could hear, like a sentinel's tread, the watchful night wind as it went creeping along from tent to tent, and seeming to whisper all is well. A moment only he feels the spell of the place and the hour, and the secret dread of the lonely belfry and the dead. For suddenly all his thoughts are bent on a shadowy something far away, where the river widens to meet the bay, a line of black that bends and floats on the rising tide like a bridge of boats. Meanwhile, impatient to mount and ride, booted and spurred with a heavy stride, on the opposite shore walked Paul Revere. Now he patted his horse's side, now gazed at the landscape far and near. Then, impetuous, stamped the earth, and turned and tightened his saddle girth. But mostly he watched with eager search the belfry tower of the Old North Church, as it rose above the graves on the hill, lonely and spectral and sombre and still. And lo, as he looks on the belfry's height, a glimmer and then a gleam of light. He springs to the saddle, the bridle he turns, but lingers and gazes till furlong his sight a second lamp in the belfry burns. A hurry of hoofs in the village street, a shape in the moonlight, a bulk in the dark, and beneath from the pebbles in passing a spark, struck out by a steed flying fearless and fleet. That was all. And yet, through the gloom and the light, the fate of a nation was riding that night, and the spark struck out by that steed in his flight kindled the land into flame with his heat. He has left the village and mounted the steep, and beneath him, tranquil and broad and deep, is the mystic meeting the ocean tides, and under the alders that skirt his edge, now soft on the sand, now loud on the ledge, is heard the tramp of his steed as he rides. It was 12 by the village clock when he crossed the bridge into Medford town. He heard the crowing of the cock and the barking of the farmer's dog, and felt the damp of the river fog that rises after the sun goes down. It was 1 by the village clock when he galloped into Lexington. He saw the gilded weathercocks swim in the moonlight as he passed, and the meeting-house windows, blank and bare, gaze at him with a spectral glare, as if they already stood aghast at the bloody work they would look upon. It was 2 by the village clock when he came to the bridge in Concord town. He heard the bleating of the flock, and the twitter of birds among the trees, and felt the breath of the morning breeze blowing over the meadows brown. And one was safe and asleep in his bed, who at the bridge would be first to fall, who at that day would be lying dead, pierced by a British musket ball. You know the rest. In books you have read how the British regulars fired and fled, how the farmers gave them ball for ball from behind each fence and farmyard wall, chasing the redcoats down the lane, then crossing the fields to emerge again under the trees at the turn of the road, and only pausing to fire and load. So through the night rode Paul Revere, and so through the night went his cry of alarm to every Middlesex village and farm, a cry of defiance and not of fear, a voice in the darkness, a knock at the door, and a word that shall echo forevermore. For borne on the night wind of the past, through all our history to the last, in the hour of darkness and peril and need, the people will awaken and listen to hear the hurrying hoofbeats of that steed, and the midnight message of Paul Revere. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Remember by Christina Rossetti. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land, when you can no more hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go, yet turning stay. Remember me when no more, day by day, you tell me of our future that you planned. Only remember me. You understand it will be late to counsel then, or pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve, for if the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that once I had, better by far you should forget and smile, than that you should remember and be sad. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Romance by Claude McKay. Read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. To clasp you now and feel your head close pressed, scented and warm, against my beating breast. To whisper soft and quivering your name, and drink the passion burning in your frame. To lie at full length, taut, with cheek to cheek, and tease your mouth with kisses, till you speak love words, mad words, dream words, sweet senseless words, melodious like notes of mating birds. To hear you ask if I shall love always, and myself answer, till the end of days. To feel your easeful sigh of happiness, when on your trembling lips I murmur, yes. It is so sweet. We know it is not true. What matters it? The night must shed her dew. We know it is not true, but it is sweet. The poem with this music is complete. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Saint Peter by Henry Lawson. Read for LibriVox.org by Son of the Exiles. Saint Peter. Now I think there is a likeness 'twixt St. Peter's life and mine, for he did a lot of tramping long ago in Palestine. He was Union when the workers first began to organise, and I'm glad that old St. Peter keeps the gate of Paradise. When the ancient agitator and his brothers carried swags, I've no doubt he very often tramped with empty tucker bags. And I'm glad he's Heaven's picket, for I hate explaining things, and he'll think a Union ticket just as good as Whiteley King's. He denied the Saviour's Union, which was weak of him, no doubt, but perhaps his feet was blistered and his boots had given out, and the bitter storm was rushing on the bark and on the slabs, and a cheerful fire was blazing, and the hut was full of scabs. When I reach the great head station, which is somewhere off the track, I won't want to talk with angels who have never been out back. They might bother me with offers of a banjo meaning well, and a pair of wings to fly with, when I only want a spell. I'll just ask for old St. Peter, and I think when he appears I will only have to tell him that I carried swag for years. I've been on the track, I'll tell him, and I done the best I could, and he'll understand me better than the other angels would. He won't try to get a chorus out of lungs that's worn to rags, or to graft the wings on shoulders that is stiff with humping swags. But I'll rest about the station where the work bell never rings, till they blow the final trumpet and the great judge sees to things. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Solitude by Harold Edward Munro. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. when you have tidied all things for the night, and while your thoughts are fading to their sleep, you'll pause a moment in the late firelight, too sorrowful to weep. The large and gentle furniture has stood in sympathetic silence all the day, with that old kindness of domestic wood. Nevertheless, the haunted room will say, "Someone must be away." The little dog rolls over, half awake, stretches his paws, yawns, looking up at you, wags his tail very slightly for your sake, that you may feel he is unhappy too. A distant engine whistles, or the floor creaks, or the wandering night wind bangs a door. Silence is scattered like a broken glass. The minutes prick their ears and run about, then one by one subside again and pass sedately in, monotonously out. You bend your head and wipe away a tear. Solitude walks one heavy step more near. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 147 by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. My love is as a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease, feeding on that which doth preserve the ill, the uncertain sickly appetite to please. My reason, the physician to my love, angry that his prescriptions are not kept, hath left me, and I, desperate now, approve desire is death, which physic did accept. Past cure am I, now reason is past care, and frantic mad with evermore unrest. My thoughts and my discourse as madmen's are, at random from the truth vainly expressed. For I have sworn thee fair, and thought thee bright, who are as black as hell, as dark as night. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Stonewall Jackson's Way by John Williamson Palmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Christopher Davis. Come, stack arms, men, pile on the rails, stir up the campfire bright. No growling if the canteen fails, we'll make a roaring night. Here Shenandoah brawls along, there burly Blue Ridge echoes strong, to swell the brigade's rousing song of Stonewall Jackson's Way. We see him now, the queer slouched hat, cocked o'er his eye askew, the shrewd dry smile, the speech so pat, so calm, so blunt, so true. The blue light elder knows 'em well, says he, that's Banks, he's fond of shell. Lord save his soul, we'll give him well, that's Stonewall Jackson's way. Silence, ground arms, kneel all, caps off, old Marster's going to pray. Strangle the fool that dares to scoff, attention, it's his way. Appealing from his native sod, in forma pauperis to God, lay bare thine arm, stretch forth thy rod, amen, that's Stonewall's way. He's in the saddle now, fall in, steady the whole brigade. Hill's at the ford, cut off, we'll win, his way out, ball and blade. What matter if our shoes are worn, what matter if our feet are torn? Quick step, we're with him before morn, that's Stonewall Jackson's way. The sun's bright lances rout the mists of morning, and, by George, here's Longstreet struggling in the list, hemmed in an ugly gorge. Pope and his Dutchman whipped before, bayonets and grape hear Stonewall roar. Charge, Stuart, pay off Ashby's score, in Stonewall Jackson's way. Ah, maiden, wait and watch and yearn for news of Stonewall's band. Ah, widow, read with eyes that burn that ring upon thy hand. Ah, wife, sew on, pray on, hope on, thy life shall not be all forlorn. The foe had better ne'er been born that gets in Stonewall's way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sun Used to Shine by Edward Thomas. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. The sun used to shine while we two walked slowly together, paused and started again, and sometimes mused, sometimes talked as either pleased, and cheerfully parted each night. We never disagreed which gate to rest on. The to-be and the late past we gave small heed. We turned from men or poetry to rumors of the war remote, only till both stood disinclined for aught but the yellow flavorless coat of an apple wasps had undermined, or a century of dark betonies, the stateliest of small flowers on earth at the forest verge, or crocuses, pale purple as if they had their birth in sunless Hades fields. The war came back to mind, with the moonrise which soldiers in the east afar beheld then. Nevertheless, our eyes could as well imagine the Crusades or Caesar's battles. Everything to faintness, like those rumors, fades, like the brook's water glittering under the moonlight, like those walks now, like us two that took them, and the fallen apples, all the talks and silences, like memory's sand when the tide covers it late or soon, and other men through other flowers in those fields under the same moon go talking and have easy hours. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thistledown by Harold Edward Munro. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. This might have been a place for sleep, but as from that small hollow there hosts of bright thistledown begin their dazzling journey through the air, an idle man can only stare. They grip their withered edge of stalk in brief excitement for the wind. They hold a breathless final talk, and when their filmy cables part, one almost hears a little cry. Some cling together while they wait, and droop, and gaze, and hesitate, but others leap along the sky, or circle round, and calmly choose the gust they know they ought to use. While some in loving pairs will glide, or watch the others as they pass, or rest on flowers in the grass, or circle through the shining day, like silvery butterflies at play. Some catch themselves to every mound, then lingeringly and slowly move, as if they knew the precious ground were opening for their fertile love. They almost try to dig, they need so much to plant their thistle seed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thought by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris Pyle. A person's arrived at high positions, ceremonies, wealth, scholarships, and the like. To me, all that those people have arrived at sinks away from them, except as it results to their bodies and souls, so that often to me they appear gaunt and naked, and often to me each one mocks the others and mocks himself or herself. And of each one the core of life, namely happiness, is full of the rotten excrement of maggots. And often to me those men and women pass unwittingly the true realities of life, and go toward false realities. And often to me they are alive after what custom has served them, but nothing more. And often to me they are sad, hasty, unwake somnambulas, walking the dusk. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thursday by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira. May 2015. And if I loved you Wednesday, well, what is that to you? I do not love you Thursday, so much is true. And why you come complaining is more than I can see. I loved you Wednesday, yes, but what is that to me? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Daffodils by Robert Herrick. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Fair daffodils, we weep to see you haste away so soon. As yet the early rising sun has not attained his noon. Stay, stay, until the hasting day has run but to the even song, and having prayed together, we will go with you along. We have short time to stay as you. We have as short a spring, as quick a growth to meet decay as you or anything. We die as your hours do, and dry away like to the summer's rain, or as the pearls of morning's dew, ne'er to be found again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Unknown Country by Harold Edward Monroe. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Here, in this other world, they come and go with easy, dreamlike movements, to and fro. They stare through lovely eyes, yet do not seek an answering gaze, or that a man should speak. Had I a load of gold, and should I come bribing their friendship, and to buy a home, they would stare harder, and would slightly frown. I am a stranger from the distant town. Oh, with what patience I have tried to win the favor of the hostess of the inn! Have I not offered toast on frothing toast, looking toward the melancholy host? Praised the old wall-eyed mare to please the groom, laughed to the laughing maid and fetched her broom, stood in the background not to interfere when the cool ancients frolicked at their beer, talked only in my turn, and made no claim for recognition, or by voice or name, content to listen, and to watch the blue or gray of eyes, or what good hands can do. Sun-freckled lads, who at the dusk of day stroll through the village with a scent of hay clinging about you from the windy hill, why do you keep your secret from me still? You loiter at the corner of the street, I in the distance silently entreat. I know too well I'm city soiled, but then so are today 10,000,000 other men. My heart is true, I've neither will nor charms to lure away your maidens from your arms. Trust me a little, must I always stand lonely, a stranger from an unknown land? There is a riddle here. Though I'm more wise than you, I cannot read your simple eyes. I find the meaning of their gentle look more difficult than any learned book. I pass. Perhaps a moment you may chaff my walk, and so dismiss me with a laugh. I come. You all, most grave and most polite, stand silent first, then wish me calm. Good night. When I go back to town, someone will say, I think that stranger must have gone away. And surely someone else will then reply. Meanwhile, within the dark of London, I shall, with my forehead resting on my hand, not cease remembering your distant land, endeavoring to reconstruct aright how some treed hill has looked in evening light, or be imagining the blue of skies, now as in heaven, now as in your eyes. Or in my mind confusing looks or words of yours with dawn light, or the song of birds, not able to resist, not even keep myself from hovering near you in my sleep, you still as callous to my thought and me as flowers to the purpose of the bee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wind of Summer by Michael Field. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. O wind, thou hast thy kingdom in the trees, and all thy royalties sweep through the land to-day. It is mid-June, and thou, with all thine instruments in tune, thine orchestra of heaving fields and heavy, swinging fir, strikest a lay that doth rehearse her ancient freedom to the universe. All other sound in awe repeals its law. The bird is mute, the sea sucks up its waves from rain, the burthened clouds refrain to listen to thee in thy leafery, thou unconfined, lavish, large, soothing, refluent summer wind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.